The federal government, through various agencies, has continued to ensure that Nigerians get the right value for their money. The aim is to restore the balance of power in transactions and ensure fairness in the marketplace, fair practices, and protect end consumer rights. This is critical in maintaining accuracy and consistency in trade activities, industrial and scientific applications. But how well are Nigerian consumers protected, and what more needs to be done to safeguard their rights? To answer these questions and more, I'm being joined in the studio by Mr. Aliyu, Ilias, Executive Director, Save the Consumers Initiative. He is a renowned expert on consumer protection issues in Nigeria. You're welcome to Business Express. Mr.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Great. Last week was World Consumer Protection Day, and it's important to understand that consumer protection in Nigeria is primarily governed by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. How effective is public awareness about consumer rights?
Right, like you rightly mentioned, it's quite low because Nigerians are not that informed. Let's look at the consumer right itself. The first is right to information, right to education, right to healthy environment, right to choose, rights to choice, and these rights are things that Nigerians are supposed to know. So these are supposed to come forward, especially right to information, right to education, so that people will know about what they want to consume. And that's why we discussed that most terms and conditions are hidden, and people are not educated and not well informed about what they consume. And this brings about breach in because what you expect is not what you get in the long run. And when you want to compete, it becomes a serious problem again. We also mentioned about how people can be consumers can be much more protected. You already mentioned FCCPC. FCCPC are one agency that is doing it, but how many people can they cater for? I'm not sure there are more than 1,000 in terms of staff. And how many states also have this consumer protection agency? I can tell you that today we have less than 6 states that have consumer protection agencies. So look at other 30, why are they not having it? So, and when you don't have a mechanism to protect consumer, business will definitely take advantage of Nigerians.
All right, we've seen cases where consumers have been misled by false advertising or deceptive marketing practices. Can you tell us some common misconceptions consumers have about their rights and how this can be addressed?
Right. The first concern we have is the end result. When you make a complaint, what happened thereafter? We must not exclude the regulatory agency in this case. There is no anything that we are consuming in India that is not regulated by one agency or the other. And the one that there is a regulatory gap, we also advocate for solutions. So we have other regulatory agencies. I think they should do their normal oversight function. And when people escalate troubles to them, they must also look for solutions. I can give you a good example. When I have breach challenges in terms of the financial issue that has to do with bank, the regulatory body, which is now CBN, will say go to your bank first. And when I go to the bank, we expect the bank to escalate, but we are saying no, change that pattern. When we complain to bank, give bank 5 days and let it be automatic that you also pick the complaint and to be escalated and our problem will be solved. I think that's where we should. So the regulatory agency need to do more to protect Nigeria. They must not be on the side of the organization they are trying to regulate.
All right, with the rise of online shopping, product safety has become a major concern. For instance, the FCCPC reported a 30% increase in consumer complaints in 2022. How can Nigerian consumers stay informed about product safety and standards when shopping online?
Right, I think it's glad that you mentioned online. This is where Nigerians suffered the more. I think there's a regulatory gap in that area. So we don't know if it's NITDA, if the CBN, or if it is FCCPC has to even go a long way to create a framework for loan sharks. You remember that loan sharks? I can also tell you, even myself and others, I've suffered what called phishing. Phishing simply means when you have a clean website and Nigerian will purchase things from there, the third day you discover that site will be disappeared. We also see different way that when you order for something, what you receive is actually different. So a lot of problem with that side. We think government should come and fix that regulatory gap. It's like there is a small agency because those people that are doing that, they're in the cloud, and government has to do more to also be in the cloud with them. So we are advocating that there should be a separate agency that will look at e-commerce platform and monitor it as it's supposed to, because you should not launch a website in a country like Nigeria. You should not launch an e-commerce platform in a country like Nigeria. Nobody knows when it is launched and who is actually monitoring. I think that's where we suffer more these days in Nigeria.
The recent NAFDAC raiding, about which uncovered a large-scale operation producing and selling fake carbonated drinks, highlights the ongoing challenge of counterfeiting in Nigeria. What more can be done to prevent the production and sale of counterfeit goods? And how can consumers be better protected from the health risks associated with these products?
Right. But to be candid, I think NAFDAC, among other agencies, they are doing their part. But where we have challenges that states has to have their own agency, because NAFDAC cannot be everywhere, and when states, those things are perpetuated in a particular state. Like the recent one you talked about, it was particular state. So if there is an agency in that state also, they will be in collaboration with NAFDAC to make sure they bring these people to book. If not, we need to have as much as protection as possible right from states. In fact, in some country, we have federal consumer protection as it is now, we have state, and we also have local government. So by the time we have all this, people will be catered for. We have about over 200 million people, and if we bring about all these agencies together, I'm not sure they are up to 500,000 to cater to this protection. So until we decipher it, is whereby every state will have their own protection agency. Some states are actually doing, like I mentioned, 5, but I think the state assembly, you have to bring it as a law, at this point in time. It may not look lucrative. I think that's part of why most states are not even looking at it. They cannot get money from it, and they can also get money from fines. So I think every state should have a protection agency backed by law that will be taking care of all the breach of our contract and businesses that affects Nigerians.
Right. The FCCPC has the power to impose fines of up to 10 million naira on businesses that violate consumer protection laws. Do you think these penalties are sufficient?
Right.
And what more can be done to deter businesses from engaging in unfair practices?
Yeah, I think the three-phase thing, and I would like to start with FCCPC. Now, FCCPC is actually putting on fine. Not only FCCPC, some agencies are also putting on fine, but as a consumer protection organization, we have issues with that. Now, Nigerians have been surcharged. Nigerians have been abused. So in the long run, FCCPC and other agencies will find this organization and they will pitch them, what's the gain of the person that have been abused? What are you actually gaining? So it also mandate these people to compensate those people that have suffered loss. It is very, very key. Another thing is this: most agencies, we are telling consumers every now and then that please, any agency that is breaching our trust, we should just leave them and let's go to another people. Because by the time they lose these customers, by the time they look at their loss, they also factor it as a factor. Now, as a consumer, the onus is also on us to read terms and conditions to make sure we understand what we actually consume. Let us not do like that hook, line, and sinker. Look at the terms and conditions. If it is not legible enough, please speak out. If you speak out, it can bring up about what we call class keys, and we together fight for a good consumption pattern, because those things have negative impact. A good example also is a theme of the World Consumer Right. It is what transition to safety, transition to sustainable lifestyle. Most of us, our lifestyle is also affecting the ozone layer, the environmental degradation, a lot of problems. So we must also look at our lifestyle to actually achieve a good consumer protection.
Right, let's now talk about the most prevalent consumer complaints in the Nigerian market. Would you say it's payment systems, refunds, or warranties, and how can they be addressed?
Well, the way you say about it, we have different organizations. So as we have for telecoms complaint, we have for financial complaint, we also have electricity complaint. I think these three take the lead, and this is where we actually have our problem. But the major thing we want is that rights to redress. We agree there will be service break, there will be problem for service delivery. One day, what you are expecting will not be there. But that rights to redress, they should also be able to compensate us, come out and say, yes, there's a challenge, there's a problem, and this is a solution, and this is what we are doing going forward. I think this is how a responsible organization should do. When you notice that there's a service break, there's a bad service, communicates to us, inform us and let us know, so that we know that yes, this company is actually open and sincere with us. If they are not sincere with us, I think it's time that we consumers will also look in that direction. Once you are not sincere to us, you are taking advantage of us, we will actually let you call you out and let you go. They will look for alternative place to solve our challenges.
As Nigeria's e-commerce sector grows, how can online consumer rights be protected? Are there any international best practices that we can adopt? And what role can regulatory agencies play in ensuring online businesses comply with consumer protection laws?
Well, I think we must tell our people as well that all that is glitter is not gold. We have to also be conscious that all what we see online is not what we should believe hook, line, and sinker. Like I told you, that even myself, we have tried to subscribe to buy some things online. When you buy, you pay, and you're waiting for delivery. The third day like this, you go back there and see that the site is not online again. It's a serious problem and problem of also phishing. And that's why I said there's a regulatory gap in that area. You see the issue of loan shark the other time. They have to develop what we call framework. Framework simply means there is no regulatory, there's a gap which is expected. There could be lacuna, but the minute it happens, let us be proactive. So we want to enjoy federal government through FCCPC, NITDA and CBN to please bring out a kind of maybe small agency or what have you, or a regulatory framework that will guide us towards this e-commerce, because it's actually eroding a lot of purchasing power, because once you buy something and discover that it does not have value, so we must also increase our standard. What you say you are going to give is what you should supply us, is what you should deliver. If you fail to deliver, I think there should be sanctions for such an organization online.
All right, Mr. Ilias, before I let you go, what recommendations do you have for improving consumer education and awareness? Should we incorporate consumer education into school curricula, for instance, or what?
Right. I think the first thing is that every provider of services and goods should have what we call consumer education. They should go everywhere to tell people about what they actually are giving people. And also, like you already mentioned, I think we have such if you go to NYC, there is the FCCPC, what do you call it, group. They're actually looking into that. So all schools should also embark on looking at that area. And government should also take the lead by making sure truly be orientation agency to do more about sensitizing and educating Nigeria, because what you know will definitely not kill you to an extent. If you don't know, that's where the problem is. And they should increase their sanction, not only fine and compensate, and also bring them to book so that people can actually know that this organization has actually offered a bad service.
Mr. Aliyu Ilias, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.